Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley if you're new here, and in this video we're going to be comparing Sonlight K to the Little Hearts and Hands Fields and Flowers curriculum. So I have them both right here. So I have used about almost half of each of these curriculum. So I feel like I have a good grasp on what you can expect from them and what I like about them, what I don't like about each program, and so I thought this video could be helpful if you're trying to decide between the two. So a little bit of background is that I bought the Good and the Beautiful Fields and Flowers when my son was in preschool, I believe. My oldest son was in preschool. I don't think I started until he was in kindergarten, and my initial reaction of this curriculum was that it was way too simple. I will show you a week of each curriculum and I'll explain more in that part, but it is a very simple curriculum. So if you want to do science with your child or your children but you are not wanting anything too overwhelming or too difficult to implement, this is your curriculum for sure. And then I have my Sonlight Science. I was originally planning on waiting until next year to use this when my youngest son was in kindergarten and my older son was in second grade, but I decided to try it out a little bit early, and I did it when my younger son was in preschool and my older son is in first grade, which I would say those are good age ranges. Either of those would work. My initial reaction of Sonlight is that it is simple for sure. The reading is very easy, super easy to implement. The science experiments are a little bit overwhelming for me. I thought because they give you the kit and everything in it that it wouldn't be, but for some reason they still feel overwhelming to me a little bit. So those are my initial reactions of both of them. So I think what I'll do now is I will show you what's included when you get each curriculum so you have a better idea of what to expect when I continue talking about the things I liked or disliked about the curriculum. So for this part of the video, I'm just going to quickly show you what each curriculum comes with. So Sonlight comes with this kindergarten science experiment book, which is quite thick. So it also comes with the instructor's guide. I bound mine on the side. You could definitely put this in a 3-ring binder, which Sonlight sells really big ones if you wanted to, if you're doing other curriculum with them so that you can keep it all together. I pulled out all of the activity sheets because I was planning on making a couple, another copy of them and having one for each of my sons, which I never did. I actually didn't write in this at all. So I just have them here in case we wanted to use them. I did use some of them by just verbally going over with the boys. And then of course Sonlight is known for being a literature-based curriculum, so I'm going to show you all the books that it comes with as well. So you have Bees and Wasps, Ants, Weather, Rainforests, Reptiles, From Seed to Plant, Wangari's Trees of Peace, Why Do Elephants Need the Sun, Forces Make Things Move, The Magic School Bus Inside a Hurricane, and the DK Find Out Science. And then I did the 5-day-a-week program, and so I got Little Kids First Big Book of Why. This does not come with the 4-day one if you are looking at that. And I believe it's the only additional thing that comes with the 5-day curriculum versus the 4-day, if I'm correct. And then I'm just going to show you a quick view of what the science kit comes with. I just have it in this bin here, so I'll just quickly look through it a little bit. It comes with a supplies list and then a paper packet of different things that you'll need for different experiments. And then, like I said, I'm not going to show you all of this because it would be a lot, but it comes with all the stuff that you will need for all of the experiments, or at least most of the stuff. There is definitely some stuff that they expect you to have in your kitchen, like cooking oil or that sort of thing. But yeah, so just a bunch of random stuff that all comes in your science kit. And then for the good and the beautiful, it is much simpler, obviously. It is, you get the big book of science stories, and which has, you know, it's a decently thick book. And then you have the parent guide of the lessons. And so each lesson is a couple pages, and then it has activities as well. So we'll get into that in another part of the video. But you could see the price, why the price difference is so significant is because Sonlight comes with so much more. This is all that comes with the Good and the Beautiful. Although actually I am forgetting one thing. In it, there is also videos that go along with every other lesson. And so you have access to those videos online as well, of course. Oh, and then that makes me realize I left that out of the Sonlight, as well as that they also have videos that you could watch all of the experiments. So you are getting quite a bit more with Sonlight. So for this part, I'm just going to do a quick flip through of each curriculum. I'm not going to flip through all of the books for Sonlight for obvious reasons. I'm not going to do like a full flip through for either of them, but I'm going to go through them a little bit so that you can get an idea. So for this curriculum, you're going to have, here's the table of contents. So for the Good and the Beautiful, there's going to be 30 lessons. And so here is a little bit about the lessons. It tells you about the course here, and then how the lessons break down. Each lesson is a 2-page spread. So you have the opening activity, or for this one, it's just reading a poem. Then you have a very brief overview of what you're going to be learning about, like an introduction. And then you either watch a little video, which I'd say is about 10 minutes or so, or you read a book from the big book of science stories, which is right here. We'll tell you which one to read. And then you have a few discussion questions, and then an optional activity. So I might give you a few examples of the optional activities so you can kind of get an idea of how they compare against, say, like science experiments, or how in-depth they are, in case you're looking for something that is more in-depth or not in-depth, you know what to expect. Oh, and then here is the breakdown of what you would need for the optional activities if you wanted to do them all. I would say that I don't think that we have done many of them. Okay, so for this optional activity, it says to collect different types of leaves and make leaf rubbings. So a very simple activity, but it has to be during the right time of year that you're doing this technically, because you might not be able to find any in the middle of winter or something like that. This activity is to find a few pine cones, and you could go to a craft store. They're saying if you don't have access to them outside, bring the pine cone and a branch from an evergreen tree, and bring them in to dissect and explore them. Have the child pull the needles off the branch with a pair of tweezers, examine them with a magnifying glass, that sort of thing. Then this one is to take a walk and observe the trees, because this is about the tallest trees. Then go back home, and it says to draw a large rectangle with chalk on your driveway, which is 15 feet wide. Have your child lie down and spread his arms to see how big Hyperion is, because in this lesson they learned about the biggest tree, Hyperion. Okay, we'll do like 2 more. So this one actually tells you to go online to check it out. This one says make waffles or pancakes as a family treat, and ask your child to tell the family what he or she has learned about making syrup. So these are really simple activities compared to Sonlight's, I would say. So it really is like depending on what you are looking for in an activity. This is like you are just like dipping your toe in this topic, I would say. And then it's kind of up to you if you want to go deeper, how you're going to go about doing that. And then I'll show you a little bit of a preview of this. Of course, it's the Good and the Beautiful, so it is absolutely beautiful. All the pictures. I think the stories are pretty interesting. They are definitely educational stories for sure. They include a ton of facts about the different thing that they're learning about, but there is a little bit of a storyline, but it's mostly facts, I would say, just written in sort of like a story. But the pictures are really, really beautiful, as it always is the case with the Good and the Beautiful. Okay, and then for Sonlight, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a preview of the instructor's guide. I'll show you a little bit of the activity sheets and then a few pages of the experiment book, so you can kind of get an idea of the difference between the two. So here's the list of the books that it comes with, all of the things that come in the science kit. And then here you come to, this is like the standard Sonlight grid. It tells you what to read each day and then which questions to ask them in the activity sheets, and then what experiment to do. And then you can also watch the experiment, or you could watch the experiment instead of doing the experiment. I've heard some people will do that. And that even tells you like what you would need that week. So for this one's scissors and a ruler. So it's things that are very easy to access, something that you probably will have. And then there's questions at the bottom that you could also talk to them about. It gives you a little bit of information, although you do have the activity sheets as well. So, and then it gives you the answers to the activity sheets in the book as well. So I'll give you a little bit of a look through here, but obviously you can kind of get an idea. It's very, very much the same. So there really is no reason to flip through too much because it looks the same week to week. So that's what you can expect from the instructor's guide for Sonlight. And then the activity sheets, I have it where we left off because we didn't make it through this entire curriculum this year, but I will just show you a little bit. They're very friendly looking sheets considering it's for kindergarten. Obviously, if you are going to fill these out, you would be the scribe for your child because this is kindergarten to second grade, it recommends. So, well, depending, I guess, if your child's in first or second grade, they maybe could write this down. My sons were in first and preschool, and so like I said, I didn't actually write in these. There's some cutting and pasting and stuff, but I wanted to keep it because I don't know if I'm going to use it with my younger two when they get older, and so I figured it would just be better not to write in it. And then if I wanted to sell it at some point too, it would be better because then, you know, someone could buy it. Okay, and then the last little thing I will show is a little peek at the experiment book. This one I would say is probably the most intimidating part of the Sonlight curriculum. I think that as we get into it, I'll show you what was overwhelming to me, but it might not be overwhelming to you. The table of contents, the difference is this one has 36 weeks, the other one had 30. So this one is also much longer. And then there's the introduction, just like the Good and the Beautiful has. It kind of helps you know what to expect. And then it has the supplies that you'll need, and then the experiments. And so let me show you like an example of the experiment. And so it has key concepts over here, the introduction, and then it has a lot of tips and stuff on the side. It tells you how to do the experiment, but for me, I don't know what it is about it, but it's not just like straightforward for me. It like talks about, it tries to go a bit deeper, which I do appreciate, but it for kindergarten, it was a bit difficult for me to kind of feel like we have over here, like see the bigger picture, there's a takeaway, draw conclusions. I don't know, it just felt like a lot. There's even more, make connections, where it just felt like, I don't know, overwhelming to me, and for some reason, the way that they have it laid out. I think for an further up in like older grades, this would be good, but it feels a bit too, I don't know how to explain it, too intense for me for kindergarten. But like I said, that could be just me, like having all of this. I don't know. It is definitely good to have to teach to them. So this is what you can expect from the Sonlight book. these pages also come in that packet, so you don't have to cut them out of here, but I guess it's just like a second copy in case you did need it for some reason. Okay, and then I guess I will go through the pros and cons of each, and then I will show you like a week of each curriculum, what you can expect after that. Okay, so I guess we will start with Science for Little Hands and Hearts. I like that this covers a wide range of topics, but they are, you know, similar topics. Like it's mostly about, like it says, fields and flowers. It's like a lot of nature topics. I think it is really cute. It's obviously very beautiful. The videos are really well done. So as you saw in the other part, you either watch a little 10-minute video about the topic or you read a story out of the Big Book of Science Stories. And those, I have nothing bad to say about either of those. I guess where it kind of falls flat a little bit is the optional activities. It can fall flat. It really kind of depends on you and what you're looking for. If you want something super simple, then this is, like I said, this is your curriculum. The thing with me was that it felt too simple. Like it didn't even feel worth doing. But again, that's just my opinion. So it's kind of my like pros and cons of this. The cons were it was too simple, but the pro is that it's really cute and it does what it's supposed to do. It introduces you to these topics, and so it is a really good curriculum for those of you who maybe have a lot of children and you just want to cover science without overwhelming yourself. And then for Sonlight, I would say I prefer Sonlight over The Good and the Beautiful. My pros of this is that I really like learning through literature. That's definitely like my style of learning that I really like to teach. I liked the books. We made it through week 13 with this one, and actually 13 with The Good and the Beautiful as well, so that's kind of funny. So I guess the reading part almost felt too easy. Like I think my sons could have handled a bit more reading, but I wouldn't like fault the curriculum for that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because it is for a younger age range. And then, like I already talked about a little bit, my con for this one would be the experiments did feel a bit overwhelming. And because I bought the science kit, I felt like I had to do them, where even though they had the videos, and I know some people will just use the videos and they won't, you know, feel the pressure to do the experiments. I felt like it was because it felt like we should be doing science experiments and I have this science curriculum. I think if I had a 5-day week that I could work with, this one would have been perfect. I think it's just that I bought the 5-day week, but I don't think that actually mattered because I could double up on reading very easily because it was a very small amount of reading. You'll see when I get to that part. But it just felt like I never had the time to do the experiments, and that's partly because I have a toddler as well, and so it felt like I'm trying to get all of our schoolwork done before lunch, and it just, I don't know, it didn't feel like I had the time. If I was more open to doing it in the afternoons or on the weekends or something, then it would have worked out better. I intend to finish definitely the Sonlight curriculum. I might get around to eventually finishing the Good and the Beautiful one, but my boys don't actually ask to do either of these, although they do enjoy the experiments for Sonlight, and they do like reading the books. So I mean, especially because this is, you know, it costs a good amount of money. I do plan to finish it. I think I'm just going to push it into next year. I just want to catch up on the experiments because I think we stopped at like week 8, and so I want to get through to week 13. Oh, that actually leads me to one more con about the Sonlight, is that I feel like the experiments didn't go along with what you were reading a lot of the time. Sometimes they did, but it felt really disconnected to me, and I think that is also why I didn't kind of like push myself to do it more, is just it felt a bit disjointed with the experiments anyway. So yeah, I guess now I will hop you over to what you can expect for a week. Like I'll show you 1 week's worth of The Good and the Beautiful, and then 1 week's worth of Sonlight. Okay, so like I said, for this part, I'm going to show you just a week of each curriculum, what you can expect to do. So for The Good and the Beautiful, they do expect you They do have you planning to do this once a week. Sonlight is either a 4 or 5 day program that at this level you could easily condense it down to 2 or 3 days. As you'll see, the reading for it is really, really easy. I just opened up to a random lesson and we are on lesson 8 here. So I'm going to give you an idea of what the opening says. It says, have the child search the kitchen for an item that has a seed. Help him or her remove the seeds. Read to the child. What color is the seed? What shape is the seed? Is it big or small? Can you name other items that have seeds? And then it says read to the child. Usually seeds are removed before you eat a fruit or vegetable. But have you ever eaten rice or beans? Then you've eaten seeds. Most plants begin as seeds. Seeds come in different colors, shapes, and sizes. They have many uses other than planting. Let's learn all about seeds. And then you watch the video, which I obviously can't show you. So then for this one, you would read a story, which introduces the story by saying, today we're going to read a story about a girl named Clara who learns all about seeds while gardening with her grandpa. We will learn about the parts of a seed, about their many uses, and about how they travel from one place to another. So let me show you that story. So here is the story. I obviously won't read the entire thing, but just so you can get an idea of how long it is. It probably takes 5 to 10 minutes to read. It's not super long. So that would be the story. And then you would go back to your instructor's guide. And then there are 3 questions. And then this one has an optional activity that you can look up on their website and then pick from. So as you can see, it's very simple. The whole thing could take you maybe 10 or 15 minutes, I'd say. So for Sonlight, I guess I will just bring you right here to week 13, which is where we left off. I believe we finished this one. Oh no, this is the beginning of the story. Okay, so, or of the book. So this one, you go to day 1, which would be day 61 of the program, bees and wasps. And then it says to read pages 3 to 5, which is this page, and this page. So very simple. Then it has you going over the questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you would save this for the next day. And then there is a little bit of something that you can read prior to connect. It says, remember when you learned that snakes can taste the air to see if food is nearby? And it tells you what book they read that in. Bees and wasps do a similar thing when they smell with their feelers. Just like the inside of our noses, their feelers have smelling sensors on them. So just something to connect it to something else that they've learned. And then occasionally they have this. So like for the next day, there's a little notice as well to read to them. And then one more for the other page, and then same thing for the last day. Okay, so that's the first day. Again, that would take you maybe 5 minutes. And then the next day you would read page 6 and 7, which would be just these 2 pages. And then it says to do questions 5 to 8. So you do 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very simple. Just goes over what you just read. And then that is it for that day. Like I said, there's a little thing you can read here to connect it to something they've already read. And then the third day you read pages 8 and 9, which are these 2 pages. And then you just do pages or questions 9 and 10, which is this one and this one. And then it has on day 4, you can do the experiment. So we actually haven't done this experiment, so let me grab the book and we can walk through that. So here is the experiment. It's why are honeycombs hexagons? So it has a little introduction to show that, to talk about how the shape of the honeycomb. It has the materials that you would get. These K ones show that that's in your science kit. And then something else that you would need is a ruler or other wide flat object for pressing the clay. Then you have making a prediction. And then it looks like you're going to use clay to make little compartments like honeycomb and then stick them together. And then it looks like you squish them flat. And then you draw conclusions. You ask them some questions about it. And then it's just something, I guess, to go a little bit deeper. And then the takeaway, kind of like a conclusion that you can talk to them about and then see the bigger picture. There's a lot of, like, they're talking about a Roman thinker named Marcus Tyrrenius Vargo, and then there's a mathematician. Like, I guess they're just connecting it to different places in the world that maybe it might help them to know these information. And then there's some really cool pictures, and then that is it for the experiment. And then, like I said, because I bought the 5-day program, there is one more book that we go through, which is this book, The Little Kid's First Big Book of Why, which you would read pages 42 to 43, which is this, which I do really like this book. Even if you don't get this curriculum, I think that this book is really fun, but it answers like a question that a young child might have about something sciencey. So why does soapy water make bubbles? And then this one has like a little bit of an experiment that you could do, or you don't have to, obviously. But yeah, so I'm actually not 100% sure what this is due together. I think it's just like extra experiments or activities that you could do with your child if you wanted to go deeper that week. This type of thing is the stuff that kind of makes me a little bit overwhelmed, but I think it's just because I have a lot on my plate, and if I just had my older two, then maybe I might dig a little bit deeper with stuff like this. So that is all of what you can expect, basically, a week for each curriculum. This one definitely goes a bit more in depth, especially I think because you have the questions after, although I guess The Good and the Beautiful has questions after as well. I think Sonlight just goes slightly deeper with each topic, especially the experiments are definitely deeper. But I hope this helped. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions at all about either of these curriculum, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. I will definitely get back to you. Like I said, I hope this was helpful for you. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.